Hello there, friends. It's Lindbergh of the Health and Fitness Motivation Podcast, the podcast for everybody out there who wants to increase their health and fitness, exercise more, but you got chronic illness, you're completely out of shape, you're not sure where to start again, or actually you know where to start again, you just don't want to. Or maybe you're blind. This is the place for you. I'm Lynn Lindbergh, your host, and today we are going to begin our series on your previous 3 days. This is the second installment of this series we're doing for the whole month of January, where we take a look at that issue of when you have a day, a particularly worse energy day than normal. Now, I know chronic illness, you guys, sometimes energy is hard every day, but this is the day that's particularly worse. Or you're feeling more depressed than usual, or your health issues are flared up more than usual. What we're going to do in January is just refresh us on some of these tactics that you can do that are easy, that really don't cost money, and can help you get that energy going again, help you get in a place where you're more in control of lots of little areas in your life so that you can be feeling as best as you can in a certain given day. Yes. All right. So the first one we're going to start with is hydration. Okay. So let's talk hydration today. And again, remember, this is like one of, I think we have 13 different topics we're going to hit. Yeah, 13 topics. The first one we're going to hit is hydration. When you have a lower energy day, lower than usual, one of the things that you're going to want to look at is, I'm going to ask myself even, is what has my hydration been for the last 3 days, right? 3 days. Not what did I drink today or what did I drink yesterday, but the last 3 days. And here's why. Typically, people don't get dehydrated in a day, unless you're in a super high climate or you're doing, marathon running or something really, really big effort. Usually hydration comes over days or sometimes even weeks. And especially when we've had a few bad health days or weeks or months or years or decades. Drinking water and staying hydrated is a harder thing to do. Or it's something we just lose track of, right? We kind of sometimes just get used to being a little thirsty and not thinking about it. And so this is the first thing I want you to look at, because if you are dehydrated, it's going to make you thirsty. That's like a no shit Sherlock, right? We know that. Dry mouth, not peeing as much, dry skin, feeling tired, feeling dizzy, getting a headache, and lots of other things. So how do you know if you're dehydrated? Well, unless you're on any special medication that gives you dry mouth and makes you thirsty all the time, which that was me for several years, so I get it. But if that's not you, then you can look at a couple things. You can, first of all, ask yourself, how much water have I been drinking? You can ask yourself, am I thirsty right now? I know. Okay. So some of you, while you're listening to me right now, head on over somewhere, get yourself a drink of water, get yourself a cup of tea, get yourself anything, get yourself a piece of fruit, something to start hydrating you. And then I know we don't necessarily like to talk about the bathroom. Well, I don't, but I do anyway, is your urine color and smell. Okay. So urine color, to my friends who are blind, my apologies. This will mean nothing to you. I know. But the good news is that just because you can't necessarily see, that lighter colored urine means more hydration, darker colored urine means dehydration. That's actually not a showstopper at all because, well, one, as we age, dark urine color has less to do with actual hydration, which is, I found very interesting. But also a better indicator is, sorry, you guys, I'm going there. I know I'm a lady and I'm going there, is the smell of your urine, right? You're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she's talking about this. No, I do. I'm getting used to it. So if your urine smells strong or stronger than usual, that's a good indicator that you probably have. If you don't have a urinary tract infection, it probably means that you're dehydrated. Or if it doesn't smell much or hardly at all, that's a good indicator that you're hydrated enough. Okay, so how much you're peeing and urine color and smell are good indicators. Now, if you just got COVID and you're blind and you've lost your sense of smell, you're kind of screwed on that one. So you gotta, I gotta laugh, right? We gotta laugh or we're gonna cry. So in that case, you're gonna have to really look at your how dry your skin is, or your sense of smell. Not your sense of smell, your sense of thirst. Yeah. Okay. So, couple of questions about hydration. Hydration. What is the fastest way to rehydrate if you are dehydrated? What's the fastest way? Just ask yourself a little Jeopardy question here. Do, 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 do. Ding, ding. Okay. The fastest way to hydrate if you're dehydrated is an IV drip. Yep. Now, at home, probably the vast majority of us don't really have access to an IV drip, and we aren't really excited about taking a needle and poking it into our arm and hoping we get that needle in the vein and taping it down and just sitting there and doing an IV drip. But I just thought that was kind of funny. It really is the fastest way to hydrate. I do not have an IV drip at home either. But I bring it up because if you are severely dehydrated and you are having dehydration issues, that's something that a doctor's office does and helps with. Okay. So for the rest of us, for reality when we're at home, the second fastest way to hydrate is a sodium and glucose solution. So that's those energy drinks. That's those things that have electrolytes in them. They are typically expensive. They're typically full of processed colors and dyes and flavoring and all kinds of crap that's not healthy for your body. But if you are dehydrated and you really want to get hydrated, they can be a good option for you. Now, most of us, though, a lot of you have heard me recommend before that there's a lot more electrolyte solutions coming out that don't have a whole bunch of sugar in them. So theoretically, they don't work quite as well, but they actually do work really well. That's what I go to first. Mine, I'm not paid or sponsored by this at all, but my personal favorite right now is Nun, N-U-U-N. The reason I like them is because they're a tablet. Just drop it in, and it's very little sugar. The flavors are good, the electrolytes are good, and those can make me feel good. And if you're blind, they're really great because you just drop one tablet in and you don't have to deal with that whole powdered can and trying to measure and pouring it into a cup without making extra mess. So I'm all for keeping it simple. Okay, so that's your second fastest way to hydrate. The third fastest is just plain water and just drinking that. Yep. So here's a couple things though. People ask: caffeine and hydration. Yes, you can drink coffee and that water will help hydrate you. The rule of thumb for caffeine is, because too much caffeine will be dehydrating, right? So the rule of thumb is 250 to 300 milligrams of caffeine is about what you can do before it starts being a dehydrating effect, right? So that is essentially 2 to 3 8-ounce cups of coffee. Or if you're doing espresso shots, an espresso shot tends to have about 100 milligrams of caffeine. Most coffee shops sell espresso that's a double. So there's your 200 milligrams of caffeine. So basically a cup of coffee a day, you'll probably still get some hydration without dehydration. Now, if you are drinking coffee all day long and that's your only form of hydration, you already know you're probably peeing all day long and you're thirsty all day long. So not your friend. The last one, fruits and vegetables, you guys. Yeah, there's so many good reasons to eat tons of fruits and vegetables. They're loaded with water. That water in the fruits and vegetables does count. What our doctors told us in the 80s about it only counts if it's just water is BS. Hydration is hydration is hydration, and even milk, because there's sugar in milk. That little bit of electrolytes and glucose that's in the milk is actually hydrating for you too. So there you go, friends. If you are feeling tired, if you're feeling particularly tired, look back and ask yourself, what did I do the last 3 days in terms of hydration? Am I thirsty now? Do I need to work on being hydrated? Now, here's the holy grail mother lode of it all. You want to get your lifestyle so that hydration isn't even a thing. You want to do whatever works for you to make sure hydration just happens and it's not another task and to-do list, because that's where we fall off the wagon. Anytime we're like, okay, I got to check my list and track my water. And when you're doing that, that means it's not naturally happening for you. And that's where we tend to fail. So what we want to do is set up a system in place. So for example, every morning when I get up, I make a cup of coffee because I love me some coffee. I also make myself a glass of water with electrolyte tab in it every single morning. In fact, they're both sitting right next to me now every morning. I don't even ask myself, am I thirsty or not? I just do it. When I drink my first cup of coffee, because I don't know, that one always goes down first, then I always drink my glass of water before I get a second cup of coffee, if there will be a second cup of coffee. So that's just autopilot. That's automatic. Then during the day, I have this cup, here's the interesting thing. I had a cup. It was like a sippy cup with a straw, a big 22 ouncer or something. And I carried that with me everywhere I went. And I made sure that I always had water in it or electrolyte drink in it everywhere I went. I went to the grocery store, I took it with me. I went for a drive somewhere, I took it with me. I go to a friend's house, I take it with me. Always, everywhere I go. And that kept me hydrated. Now, here's the funny thing. That particular cup, this is life. You're going to laugh. This is the real life stuff, right? That particular cup, I called it my unicorn cup because it was rainbow colored and shiny. I liked it. That particular cup would spill a lot. So many times it would spill. And my son decided he thought it was a cool cup. So after a few months, he ended up kind of commandeering it and using it. So I no longer had my unicorn cup and I no longer was carrying it around with me everywhere. And guess what? I started getting headaches again. Yeah. What the heck? I know some of you are like, oh yeah, you're right. You missed teaching a class because you had a bad migraine. Yeah, it might have simply been because my stupid unicorn cup was commandeered by my kid and I wasn't carrying a water bottle around with me anymore. So I had to think about drinking and refilling glasses all the time. So there you have it. When I have my routine in place, when you have your routine in place for water to stay hydrated, it'll just be smooth sailing. No big deal. Maybe you don't carry a cup around with you everywhere you go, but figure out what works for you so that you can just put this whole hydration thing on autopilot so you can focus on other things in life that you love so much more than just tracking how hydrated you are. Alrighty, friends, I hope that was a helpful tip for you. We got 12 more of these coming up over the next few days. And if you are new to Couch to Active, head on over to the homepage of my company. That's couch2active.com. Right there at the beginning, you'll see a start here, step 1, and it's a free resource for you that'll help get you dialed into what we're about and help you discover what your next best step is to get all this figured out in your life so you can have more energy, be feeling better, and be having more confidence and control over your health and fitness and motivation. So see you over there at couch2active.com and check out the step 1 start here. Bye-bye now.